Okay, so I guess I've come to realize that I end up doing a lot of my stories on my mom, and I guess I should just say that it's largely due in part to the fact that I am an only child, and my mom is a single mom, so she's kind of the only person that I really had growing up. And I don't know if it's because the holidays are coming around, like right around the corner. But I always take this time to like really reflect a lot. I remember one time when I was specifically in sixth grade, my mom was in the hospital, and it was due to a lot of things just having, messed up. And for example, like her diabetes and high blood pressure had, been really out of control, and she had been having a lot of nosebleeds, so she had lost a lot of blood too. And she had to get a blood transfusion, and I always use this analogy, I guess, where they always say that one person can save up to three lives with a pint of blood, but this time it took four people to save one life, and that was my mom's. um, so it's just one thing that I always like to keep in mind. But so my mom was in the hospital for about a month, and when she finally got out, I think we were all just really excited that she was gonna get out. We hadn't really, like, the thought of having Thanksgiving, like, hadn't even like crossed our minds. So I remember my uncle was driving my mom and I home, and as we're pulling up into the driveway, we see something that's on the steps, and we can't really tell what it is from far away. But like as we start to walk closer, then we start to see like a basket, like it's a big basket, and in the middle of it is a turkey, and then there's a box of mashed potatoes, a box of stuffing, and I think it was a can of corn, can of green beans, and like dinner rolls, and a pie. And the first thing that we're like thinking is like, well, who did this? Like we asked my uncle, like, did you do it? And he's like, no, I don't have money for that. And so we're like trying to think of like who it could have been, and then another part of us is just like, well, is this even safe? Like, can we even eat this? Like, what if it's just like, just a joke? But I guess the more we really thought about it, we're just like, someone knew of like what it was that my mom was going through, and like how it was that I like didn't have anyone else at that time. And my mom would always say um, to never like look down on like what we have, because no matter how hard like we may we may be struggling, that someone else's struggles might be a little bit harder, someone else might be struggling a little bit more. And I never would have imagined it, like up until that point, like even though we had, like, my mom was in the hospital, like we still had that Thanksgiving dinner that we probably wouldn't have had had someone not made that donation. And I think ever since then, like, that's just inspired me to be really passionate about community service, and just like always make sure that I'm doing the most that I can to help other people, because like you really don't realize what you have and how fortunate a lot of people are until like you've been in those shoes, and like you've seen like certain things happen. And I guess that's why Thanksgiving has a whole other meaning of really giving thanks and just really being appreciative of what I have.